Hello, and welcome to Talk of the Town. I'm Michael Jacobi, host of Raising the Standards on Santa Cruz Voice, Apple, Podbeam, Spotify. We're everywhere. And I'm delighted to be back at KCAT with my dear friends here. We haven't done a show in a little while. It's going to be a good show today. I will begin by kind of getting rid of an old adage about real estate, and that is that the three most important words in real estate are location, location, location. It's not true. The three most important words are realtor, 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 because if you don't have the right realtor, it doesn't matter about your location because you're lost. With me in the studio from CHRISTIE'S Sereno, my dear buddy, Douglas Marshall. How are you, pal?
Doing great, buddy. Thanks for having me.
It's good to see you, and I want to part. First of all, I love your shoes.
You like those?
Did you bring the cape? This is not an info commercial. We're going to talk about real estate, talk generalities about the market, but more importantly, everybody thinks they need to know what they need to know and don't have any idea what they know about the business. Let's start by talking a little bit about your background. Okay. Where are you from? How'd you get into the business? Tell us about your family.
Born and raised here.
Okay.
Product of public school system. Didn't have the silver spoon. Didn't have the product gifted to me like so many of our colleagues do, which is nice.
So this was pre-silver spoon.
Pre-silver spoon.
Now you've got quite the cutlery set, but
Yeah. Little Cutco knives. Yeah, it works out great. If I just buy one more set, I'll get an extra one for free.
So you were a self-trained guy.
Self-trained, self-motivated. Latchkey kid.
Yeah.
I remember that term back in the day.
Yeah.
So it helps you be resilient, help you to do the right thing all the time. Even when nobody's watching you, you always kind of wonder in the back of your mind, is mom or dad going to come by and smack you upside the head and be like, hey, I saw you do that. Before cameras, before cell phones.
Yeah.
I probably wouldn't be here right now if we had cell phones when I was growing up. That's a whole nother story.
Absolutely. Yeah. I would have never gotten an education, or certainly a different one.
Yeah.
You went to high school where?
Yeah, so actually bounced around a little bit. Public school, Campbell Union School District.
Okay.
Went through the elementary school, went to a couple different junior high schools, and then got to go to Del Mar High School.
All right.
Other side of town. Used to not be proud of that. Used to tell people I didn't go there. And then one of my really great clients, who I love phenomenally, done about 4 or 5 houses with me, was getting intimate with me one night, asking me about that. And I finally got it out of me. And he's like, what's wrong with that? That's a baccalaureate, internationally recognized high school. I'm like, since when?
Yeah.
So literally I had to drive over there at night, 10 o'clock at night. I drive over there to see what the big deal was, and it changed. So, yeah.
Well, that's after you left, oddly enough.
Yeah, after I left, yeah. So then I got a great opportunity to go to the University of Saratoga.
Okay.
Yeah, great spot. More ashtrays than my high school had, which was fabulous, which is great. And then when I was done with that, my parents promised me that when I finished my GED and my general education for University of Saratoga, that I could go anywhere I wanted to for the next 2 years to get my degree.
Anywhere that lets you in.
I was thinking, great.
Yeah.
Right? So, another accolade to my wonderful parents. Well, we didn't actually think you were going to finish.
Yeah. And we hadn't considered Harvard.
So, went myself, went to San Jose State, proud alum, and paid my way through, worked full-time, did everything else. That's just part of that resilience, or part of the persistence. That's part of my...
Now, were you a marketing major? Or?
I was, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so I went in business marketing. Actually wasn't going to do real estate.
I was just going to say, with what idea or what emphasis?
Yeah, so at the time, back in the 90s, I was thinking about the whole Marcom manager. Everything was big with trade shows.
Yeah.
Started getting into doing the big video walls when Cisco was just coming on board and huge. I'm really not that old, just real estate right here.
Yeah.
But, just you got to pivot. Great segue. Great book that I always tell people to read, especially right now with crypto, tariffs, all the stuff's going on. Ken Blanchard, Who Moved My Cheese?
Really?
Yeah. Fabulous book. You could actually read it before your head hits the pillow.
Okay.
That's that small.
Well, it's similar to my life because once the pyramid thing went under,
Right?
I had to get a real job.
Right? Yeah. Were you part of the Friends Network, filling up the pyramid squares for everybody?
I love they'd say, nobody loses money. There'd be one guy in China in 6 years who lose money.
Yes.
I was in China.
The one guy.
Apparently.
You must have been
All
before
right, so
me.
what made... Now, real estate over the years has gone through... I mean, there was, and this is nothing sexist about this, but there used to be a phrase that every housewife in the world got a real estate license. It was also true of a lot of men who weren't employed, and it's like having a license suddenly gave you knowledge, which in fact it didn't, and it changed the marketplace dramatically. Would you agree with that?
Well, actually, you
drifted off for a second.
So it's funny, right? So I just flew in from Pakistan, and I was driving back here, and a guy pulls me over from CHP, and he said, "Can I have your real estate license?" I'm like, "Don't you mean my driver's license?" He goes, "No. Everybody has a real estate license. Hand it to me."
That's right.
Yeah. So to your point, 100%. Yeah. It's one of those adages. In fact, I literally changed my marketing slogan. A good friend of mine, Breck Overall, out of Lake Tahoe area, great friend of mine. We were at one of his promotions probably a decade ago, and he had this slogan down. And I asked him. I said, "Hey, can I use that?" And he goes, "It's not. I don't have it copyrighted." So what I love is the people that copy me, that try to emulate what I do. I used to get upset about it. I'm like, "That's mine. That's proprietary." And now I want to share it.
It's a compliment.
It is, right? It's the highest form of flattery if they want to copy you. So the phrase is, "Who you work with matters."
Good.
Now, when I started Sold by Douglas, people were laughing at that slogan, and over the decades of time, Sold by, insert your name here, is everywhere now. Like, you type up any search bar to Sold by and just leave it open, and it'll come up with everything. So the who you work with matters is really huge. That changed everything.
Could be more true in all right across the board. And what you said is very interesting in terms of clients. In my business, marketing, having a client, a one-time client, is of no value. I mean, the longevity, and particularly in your business, the loyalty. And how long have you been? When did you get your license?
Late 90s.
Late 90s. And
I'm almost coming up on 30 years.
I'm going to guess that you have sold properties to grandparents, to children, and to grandchildren.
Yeah. That's the fun part. When you get the phone call, or you're at a graduation, which is it's timely because those kind of things happen all the time, right? What's fun is when you go to those parties and those events, and you're not going there to solicit, you're going there to hang out and have a good time.
Yeah.
And the proverbial phrase is, which is all on my social media and campaign right now, is hashtag how's the market, right?
Yeah.
Everybody asks you, "Hey, how's the market?"
Yeah.
So.
Well, since everyone does, how's the market?
You've probably seen some of my other videos, and I tell people the market's great, right?
Yeah.
Now, it depends.
The market's as good as you make it, is my guess.
So 100%, right, Mike? Because when you look at where you are in the market, at what point do you care if there are homes on the market for 30 days, 3 days, or 300 days? When you started your search. It's when you start your search, when you start looking, and when you partner yourself with an expert professional that knows what they're doing. Because they're the ones going to tell you why that house is on the market for 300 days versus, guess what, get your track shoes on, that house has been on 3 days, or more importantly for a lot of my clients, I call them and tell them, this is coming, get out of work.
Without writing it in stone, at what point, if a property is on the market, is too long and you maybe should consider a different person to represent you?
Great question. To your point earlier, location. Is it the pinnacle? No. Does location help? 100%.
Well, particularly in Los Gatos, location is all good.
It is.
Some better than others.
Yeah, Glen
It's
Ridge,
not like it's
the
Cleveland.
Manor.
It's not like we're in Tulsa.
Yeah.
But that's why I make the point. Okay,
Yeah.
it's going to be a good location.
Yeah.
Now, where do you go from there?
Right. And is it priced right? So the old adage is, if the house is sitting on the market, and there's a great term that we all try to use called absorption rate. Okay. And basically it's how many homes have sold versus how many homes are on the market. It's a division equation. I'm glad I went to public school and got a degree to learn that because I could never figure that out myself. So I use an app that does it, jokingly. But let's say you have 10 homes that come on the market and 10 homes sale, right? That's 100% absorption rate. You have zero inventory. Follow me? Mm-hmm. Okay. Inverse is true. If you have 100 homes come on the market and 10 sale, right? That's only a 10% absorption rate.
Right.
So you have the rest of that remaining in the months of inventory. So what I try to look at and what I try to guide my clients through, and my buyers especially, and the sellers even more so, is how many homes are selling, what's the current flow and trend, just like the waves on the ocean. What's coming to the market? How many homes are coming on? You can tell when the vacations are here. Roads are shorter, traffic time's shorter, right? But then also open houses are much shorter. Now, we had our broker meeting just the other day. We have it every Tuesday. Some people were saying it was slow. Some people were saying, well, I've had a lot of people come to the open house. Okay. I like to ask the next question. Why? Why was your house busy and why was your house slow? Price.
All right, I see. I imagine someone watching this show and saying, hey, I'll get that app and I won't need to hire anybody and I'll save some money. But it's a great deal more than that. It's not just getting that. It's your instincts.
It is.
And I'm not just saying this about Douglas. It's the instincts of a good realtor.
A good professional realtor, and who you network with. Like I just got off on broker tour, right? It's Wednesday. Yeah. Got finished on broker tour. I go out for a number of reasons. One, to see the homes that my clients might want to see in the future that we haven't had that conversation yet. So when that conversation comes up, it's like, oh my goodness, I saw this great house the other day, blah, 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 right? Now, the other reason you go on tour as realtors to see your other colleagues is to network. Because when that house comes up and you have to put an offer together, that relationship selling, the old school way of belly to belly, forget texting, forget all the other things you're doing. You want to make sure that you can actually have that prospect, that buyer, put that property together and buy that property. I can't tell you how many times I've been in an equation, Mike, and it's the relationship of the person that we're talking to, why we get the transaction put together.
We're talking to Douglas Marshall from Christie's Sereno Group here on Talk of the Town. I'm going to take a minute, and I always speak from the heart, but this time I want to talk about my good friends here at KCAT, which is, we are so blessed in this community to have KCAT here. It is such a high quality organization, as you can tell from all the programs that run here. The programs are professionally done. We're on the Los Gatos High School campus. Young people are learning and we're supporting the community. And if you'd like to get involved or have questions, go to kcat.org. You can certainly donate money. They will not turn it down. I have the personal assurances. Or if you'd like to be on this show, we'd love to have you get contact with Melissa at kcat.org, who's our producer and runs the place, and she will be able to help you. They have been very kind to me when I was running Jazz over the years, and we certainly appreciate all they do. Welcome back to Talk of the Town. Jacobi with you. And again, we're delighted that you're joining us today, and we hope that you are learning something, and stay with us so you'll learn a good deal more. With me in the studio, Douglas Marshall from Christie's Sereno. And good to have you here, buddy.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. I mentioned we just did a little promo talking about KCAT and how important they are to the community.
Yep.
And they have been so kind over the years to Jazz on the Plaza, and even though I'm no longer part of it, I wanted to take a moment to thank them for that.
100%.
100%. You're a big Jazz guy.
I'm a big Jazz guy. Big Jazz guy.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
You're not there anymore?
No, it was good. Why, do you miss me? Thank you. That didn't even work in rehearsal.
Okay, tell you.
So anyway, let's talk a little bit about the generationally the differences in selling your home.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people my age in Los Gatos who may be selling it and want to look out for their children and their grandchildren. How do we approach that? Obviously, a trust is a huge deal.
Trusts are huge.
As is trust in who you're working with.
Thank you for that.
That's right.
Yeah.
So tell me, do a little self-promotion here. That was that word I was searching for.
What's the word for promotion?
Promotion. That's right. I had to leave for a thesaurus.
All good.
What do you bring to the table that a lot of realtors don't?
You know, after almost 30 years in doing this, what I figured out is, and I really don't like the cliche, and I'm probably going to mess it up because I don't try to rehearse it, but it's people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. Right?
That's a good point.
And the more I hear that, and the more I hear mentors in the past that told me that, and I'm like, oh, that's such a corny thing. I'm like, it's never going to work. Well, if you use it as a crutch or a tool, you're right. But if you're genuine about it and you understand why that makes sense, then it does make sense. Now, to your point, yes, you want to have a trust, because and I can't give you tax legal advice, but you want to get together with myself or whoever you have that's a trust figure, right? And create that trust, create that asset protection, because it helps out for the longevity, and your house is your most invaluable asset. So you want to do that. I've got great teams of people. I've built teams over the almost nearly 30 years of doing this. I've got people that literally come in and do everything from Trailer Trash, which is a fabulous new company my buddy just started, to trust companies that I use out of Saratoga, and then CPAs. All of those people help to keep the bottom line in those clients' pocket. Your house is your biggest asset. Is it better to sell it? Is it better to put it into an exchange? What are the better nuances? And we can help you through all that stuff.
Well, your buddy's company, Trailer Trash?
Yes.
Is that they hire out toothless bartenders?
They do, actually. It's funny. We were joking with that when he started it. I'm like, you should become Senor Blanco Basura.
But the idea, I mean, there are an awful lot of people, probably more per capita in this community,
Yeah.
that their houses are paid off and are sitting on literally a ton of money.
Yeah, and there were some resolutions that went through, and people didn't understand what they voted for, and the Prop 19 and the other things that kind of messed up the transition down to the siblings and the tax rate and the tax gain. And I don't want to get into taxes because I'm not a CPA again by the time I told you this, and I don't have ESQ at the end of my name, but I have plenty of attorneys on my phone that I can get a hold of if I need help.
But you know CPA.
I have them all on my, my network is huge. I have people that can take care of every single asset of what you need to do, and that's what I pride myself on. You asked me, what do I bring to the table? It's the bandwidth of our team that can do everything. And now we're actually doing financial services.
Yeah.
We just opened up a brand new leg of our company. We're doing
This
financial
is Christie
services.
Sereno,
No, my own personal
Your own
team,
personal
Douglas Real Estate Group.
Okay.
We've actually literally just like in the last 2 weeks put together a brand new financial services team, which is phenomenal. I'm super happy about that. We've already grown that in the last 2 weeks to a number of entities that are representative of that, and so that helps out as well. So,
Well, your line about caring,
Yeah.
how much someone cares, because you and I are similar, tall, good-looking fellows, but other than that, we're pleasers.
I'll flip you the tip later.
But we care about people.
Yeah.
And it's interesting.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, you do very well. Well, you do very well because you care about people and you want to please them.
Thank you.
And I will make it analogous to I did stand-up comedy for a while. And
Is that where you're sitting down now?
That's right. Wow. I liked eating better than performing, I'll tell you that. But I've dealt with a lot of comedians in my life, and what's interesting, some are very successful, made an awful lot of money, but it comes down to making people laugh,
Yes.
making people happy, and that's what it's all about. Because I said, well, what if you were the richest guy in the world and nobody ever laughed at your stuff? I don't want any part of that.
Yeah.
And that's true, because that's the joy.
Yeah.
Just as the joy for you, I would imagine, is a family moving into a new home.
Yes, that's a good one, right? I recently was published in a couple different articles, Tech Bullion and a couple other ones, and one of the things that we went through in the discovery process was a question of referability. And they found in researching some of my past clients that I'm between 94 and 96% referral rate.
Okay.
And I've got a coach I use, I've got a mentor that I use and I pay for, and all of those outside figures help me to become better. I become better by helping my clients become better. So recent scenario, we just did a property in Saratoga, great lady, fabulous, and she was referred to me by a good friend of mine. She lived her whole life, and it was time to sell. And I literally walked in and I said, Sue, we can do this, this, and this, or I can give you this, this, and this. And I gave her kind of an a la carte approach. And she said, oh my God, thank you so much for caring and understanding how important this is to me. And one of the things that I pride myself on, and I'm sure my colleagues are going to steal this from me, but please do, go ahead and take it. I said, people move at their own pace.
Sure.
And we will move
And you can't change that.
No. And I told her, I said, we will move at your pace. And I tell all my clients the same thing. It's not a cookie cutter. It's adaptability, it's flexibility. And if you don't adapt and you don't work with your clients at their pace.
Although part of expertise is the ability to say, it's time to speed up a little bit.
100%. Yeah. But there's also that time
when
to understand when they're uncomfortable and also slow down a little bit. Or even another client, I said, do we need to pause for a minute? Said, yes, I need to pause. Yeah. Life happens.
Well, I'm certainly glad that I recalled the phrase self-promotion because you certainly embraced it.
Did you take the dog off the leash?
You took that gauntlet and had it right out.
Well, speaking of phrases, which is kind of fun, Norm, right?
Norm, yes.
You asked me earlier. You asked me earlier what my favorite phrase was, and I think, and I'm going to mess it up again. I'm probably
I know the phrase. How's it going? It's a dog-eat-dog world, and I'm wearing milk-bone underwear.
That's it. That's the one. That's the one. Yeah. Fun
stuff. And we talk real estate, and
sure,
we're buddies. But also, it's interesting, isn't it? We're talking about Norm. Is that it used to be for our parents and grandparents, the things they remembered, and rightfully so, were VE Day, Pearl Harbor, things of that, the Kennedy assassination. But so much of our lives have been based on the end of Cheers, the end of Wings, the last ER. Isn't that interesting?
50 Shades of Grey.
50. That's true. But I don't even want to talk about that conclusion.
Or was that Grey's Anatomy?
I'm not going to talk about that conclusion. Anyway, continue. We've got a few minutes left. All right. So, folks at home, and maybe, can somebody just call? I know your answer, but can somebody just call you and say, I don't even know if I want to sell my house. I just kind of want to ask you a couple of questions.
100%. In fact, on my...
Yes, but are you going to tell me, I have a network of people that can answer those questions?
No, it's
or
me.
People
it's
can
me.
talk to you?
It's me. When you call me, you get me,
He's
right?
everywhere.
I am. I'm here, right? I'm like Sagwa Fair. And for those of you that know and remember Pink Panther, it's Sagwa Fair.
Right.
He is everywhere, right? So good stuff.
That's true.
Yeah.
Like a strange Sadie Hawkins dance, he just dated himself. All right, so they can call you.
Yeah.
What's the most frequently asked question, other than how's the market?
What's my home worth?
Yeah. What's my home worth? And the worth, people need to understand, I had a neighbor that listed the house at a price of what they needed to get.
Ooh.
And that's not the answer.
No.
And to talk real quickly, we only got a couple minutes left. Are appraisals written in stone?
No.
No.
In fact, what people need to understand is an appraisal is one person's opinion.
Right.
Their opinion at the date and time of that appraisal.
Well, then for an appraisal, should you get 3 and take an average, or what is your suggestion?
So it depends on when you're using it for. Like I've got a client right now, we're doing an appraisal before we list the property because it's so unique. Okay. It's such a great piece of property. They had an offer on the property from UC Santa Cruz before COVID for $10 million.
Yeah.
Looking at that property today, it's nowhere near worth that. But again, it's one person's opinion of what they're willing to pay for it. And for them, it was a land conservation easement. So, should you get 3? No. Do you need to get 3 sometimes? Yes. I've got another client, her family just passed away, and that person that's doing their trust, it's not my guy, it's another person, they want them to go get 3 appraisals.
And are they going to take the highest? Or are they going to average them as a company?
I don't know what their position is from that company.
But what would you do if you had 3 appraisals?
So I usually get 1.
Okay.
That 1 typically is, and I use a really good guy.
I was just going to say, someone
I've got
in your
a good guy
that you trust.
Yeah, buddy of mine, Johnny.
You know a guy.
Yeah, I know. I got a guy, right?
Yeah.
I have a friend that actually moved out here from Chicago, and he was joking with me because every time we'd ask me something, he's like, "You always have a guy." He's like, "You're in the wrong city." I go, "What do you mean?" He goes, "You should be in Chicago." I got a guy, right? So, anyways,
Who owns parking lots?
Yeah.
Douglas Marshall, I really appreciate you coming on. I appreciate you taking time because folks have a lot of questions. We know we haven't answered all of them, but we've opened the door a little bit. And if you're thinking of selling a home, just finding out what you want to do, refinancing, the door is open a little bit. Come on through, and I can't think of a better person to chat with than yourself.
Thank you, sir.
Anyway, it's good to have you here, Douglas Marshall. Christie's Sereno group, and what's your other one called?
Follow me on Instagram, Douglas Glenn Marshall.
You're on social media.
I'm everywhere. I'm
TikTok,
on every
the whole
social
thing.
media, TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, you name it. I'm on all of them.
Right.
But yeah, either Douglas Glenn Marshall or Sold by Douglas. They're both ubiquitous. They work great.
Good to see you, buddy.
Thanks, bud. Appreciate it.
Thank you for
yeah,
being on.
Yeah, always
Take
fun.
care.
Yeah.
That's Talk of the Town. We hope to see you soon. I hope you enjoyed the show, and we'll be around a little more. I've been taking a bit of a hiatus, but try to get back in the studio, and I appreciate all your kind remarks that you enjoy these programs. Till the next time, I'm Jacobi. I'll see you soon.